Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Monday, the 23rd of March. Um, Today, I'd like to just chat with you about often times when things that we think are interruptions, that something's happened and everything's gone sideways, and the things we had planned go side, they don't happen the way we want them to, and then we find out that there was a reason why. I've been doing a really, really good Bible study by Priscilla Shirer, Shirer, from the States, and about listening for God's voice. How do we discern and hear God speaking to us? And last week, one of the things she talked about was she said something about life interruptions are often divine redirections. And at first, I kind of got my hackles up, like, oh, I don't think those, like, no. When things like something happens, the phone rings, or something happens my plan is to do X and then I have to do Y. How often do I get frustrated that I've been pulled off, especially when I've been really focused and paying attention to what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, I'm pulled out of that whole mindset and into something else. And then when I get back, I can't get back to that mindset. That happens to me quite often. And the older I get and the more I pay attention to my relationship with God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus and things like that, and the being with the Trinity, not things like that. That's being flippant. My relationship with the Trinity, the more I realize that God does indeed speak to us, and sometimes God speaks and we don't listen. So God's like, okay, divine redirection here. Sometimes indeed, those moments when my life has been interrupted by a phone call or just a plain old fashioned distraction. My coffee cup ran out, so I ran and got a cup of coffee, come back, and my mind is gone someplace else. I've lost my train of thought. Happens often when I'm trying to write sermons. Sometimes those indeed are just life interruptions. They're just things happened. But there have been so many times, and the more I think about it, the more I realize there's too many to count. When I have been heading down one track and God is like, I never told you to go that direction. I want you to go over here. And then a life interruption happens, a phone call, something happens, and my train gets stopped. And when I come back, I realize then with new clarity of mind, or sometimes just by circumstances, that my track has been altered. It's not heading in the same direction. And indeed, I realize that I am not supposed to be going there where I was. So I have literally thrown sermons that were almost done in the garbage. Like hit delete on them because I realized I was going in my own direction. I wasn't following what Jesus was speaking to me, what the message was that God wanted me to share. That has happened to me with other things, decisions I've made about trips to take and phone calls to make and things like that. It's just incredible that when we listen to God's voice, when we pay close attention, then we realize that sometimes indeed those are not just coincidences. Those are not just like circumstances or accidents that happen that where life gets interrupted, but indeed sometimes they are divine redirections. Sometimes God uses the interruptions in our lives to say, refocus, come back to center, listen to what the purpose was in the first place, and I will guide you to where you need to go. Divine redirections. As much as I don't ever hope for them because it means that I have wandered off the path that God has called me on, there are many times when I do indeed hope that I will have divine redirections. And as I go about my day today, the beginning of the week, I imagine I'll probably have several divine redirections. And I pray that I'll also have the presence of mind, the presence of heart to recognize that when that direct redirection happens, it's for a good reason. It's going to save me time later. If I continued on the path I was on, I would end up further away where I needed to be and would have to backtrack or redo work or call somebody up and have that conversation again and probably have to apologize for whatever it is I did wrong. Divine redirections are gifts from God. May your day and your week be filled with them if that is what's needed. And may you have the grace in your heart to recognize that a divine redirection is not a remonstrance from God. This is not, you're in trouble, lady or man. A divine redirection is actually God's mercy. saying to you, it's okay. We're going to get back on track. We might have a bit of work to do, but it's going to be okay. So if your day is filled with divine redirections, try to receive them with grace and humility and just walk in the path that God is calling you to go. And if you indeed do recognize that sometimes life distractions or interruptions are just life interruptions, then take that as an opportunity to have a coffee break. Say a prayer and ask that God will help you get back on track with what you were doing in the first place. Have a great day. God bless you, and I'll see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael.